Good afternoon. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. It is Thursday, July 9th. It's 2 o'clock on the East Coast. Thanks so much for live streaming in with us. At 3 o'clock Eastern Time, the president participates in signing time inside the Oval Office, an event that's currently closed to the press. And as you've seen in maybe some prior broadcasts, sometimes that opens up and we'll be able to see the president and hear from him as he is now back, of course, from that NATO summit out there in Ankara, Turkey, back at the White House. We'll have more coverage coming up as we see it here on the network. We have a lot to get to here as we are live right now at 2 o'clock. All right. As many who follow politics know, the United States Department of War released UFO files online, various photos and videos that have people scratching their heads wondering, are they real? And some people say they are. Well, our next guest is an author who wrote a book about aliens titled Aliens, UFOs, and the Bible. All right, interesting stuff right there. John Walker joins us live right now and joins us on the program. John, thanks so much for taking the time to stop by and talk about your book.
My pleasure, Matt. I'm very, very blessed and happy to be here with you.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad you're here with us. I mean, it's something that people talk about more in the mainstream than ever before, aliens and UFOs, and then the government puts out some files out there. So let's start off by wondering, the one question is, what was the motivation for writing the book?
You know, Matt, I was one of those kids that grew up as a sci-fi lover. Loved science fiction, loved Star Wars, Star Blazers. You know, I was into that growing up. So naturally, I had a bent towards aliens, UFOs, and the possibility of extraterrestrial life. But what really motivated me to write this book was in 2019, my wife and I attended a UFO conference in Toronto, Ontario. The highest ranking official at the time to ever come out and acknowledge UFOs was a man named Paul Hellyer. Paul was at one time, he was the Minister of Defense for the Canadian military. And he came out and started saying the UFOs and aliens were real. So my wife and I drove up to Toronto because, you know, Paul was 94 years old when he put this conference on, and we wanted to hear it from him. So we went there. It was a great conference. Travis Walton, Grant Cameron, who are pillars in the UFO research community. Everybody knows those guys who are into this type of thing. They were the keynote speakers. So really enjoyed the conference, but I noticed there was a disconnect. And the disconnect was between the Bible-believing community and the UFO research community. There were pastors there, there were Christians there, but there was no communication between those two camps. And I started to realize, well, the Bible talks about entities that seem to be the same as what the UFO conference was talking about, but there's no communication. So I felt like there are two different camps that both have information that's imperative, and they need to come together and share what they know. So I wrote this book as a bridge between those two communities.
So then that's partly the motivation for the book. And then when you look at it, the Aliens, UFOs, and the Bible book by John Walker, you know, this is kind of timely in a way because of, you know, the government files that were just released. Have you looked at those files, the photos, the videos? What do you think about all of it?
I have, and Matt, I've studied this for many years, and many of the most of the footage I saw that was recently released were things I had seen in the past. So the government is releasing what they have in their archives, you know, gradually, but some of that stuff was already out there. But the important part is it wasn't released necessarily for people like me who have an interest in UFOs and aliens. I think it was released more for the mainstream so they can get on board and at least know that something is going on. And we can begin to put the pieces together to try to understand whether we're being visited by entities outside of Earth.
You know, I remember back in the day, Tom Cruise, I believe he was on an interview, maybe it was with Oprah, not the time when he jumped on the couch the way he did, but I think he talked about that he believes in aliens, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, you believe in aliens? And it was like so anti-mainstream culture. I'm not going to say if I do or not. I tend to lean that there is something else out there. Of course, there's God, angels, demons, all that. I believe in that. But the angels and the UFOs, that is fascinating. Have you ever been to Area 51? I know that's something that people, like to go to and check out.
Not physically, maybe spiritually. And what I mean by that, just studying and listening to other people's, inquiries and other people's testimony about Area 51. The retired military officials and the retired NASA officials and the astrophysicists and the people that work on back engineering technology, the fact that we have so many of them that have come forward, to me, we may not be able to pinpoint right now exactly who these entities are, but there are some entities, and there is contact from outside of Earth for sure.
All right, and finally, can you parlay that in to your first point with the communication between the religious community, the faith community, and those that believe in UFOs, aliens, as do you do? So in the Bible, though, can you give any examples that your interpretation says, hey, these are what they're talking about, aliens?
I'm glad you asked me that. What's most interesting to me about the whole UFO phenomenon are the testimonies of people that say they've made contact or they've been abducted. In the past, those people were laughed at and mocked. But what we found are tens of thousands, maybe even millions of people worldwide say they've had these experiences. And there are people that meet with these people and write down or record their testimonies. What's most interesting is there are certain pieces of the puzzle that are not being shared with the public. The main point is there are people who have experienced abductions and have been able to stop the abduction by calling on the name of Jesus Christ. Now, UFO and alien researchers, all who investigate this sort of thing, have come across these cases, and Bible believers have come across these cases. But this is the piece of the puzzle that's not being shared. And Christians and non-Christians need to know that there's only one way to stop an alien abduction. It's a proven fact. We have countless testimonies of people that say they either called on the name of Jesus for help or they rebuked the entities in the name of Jesus and the entities instantly disappeared.
Wow.
That's very important.
Well, I'm sure a few people that are watching right now are saying that's fascinating. Others are saying this is a conspiracy theory. I just am glad to know you, John, to have you on the broadcast to talk about this new book. Again, Aliens, UFOs, and the Bible. John Walker, conservative author. Thank you again for joining us here on Right Side. And again, the people out there, the UFO files that the government released, very interesting stuff. John, thank you again for joining us on Right Side.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely. All right, so yeah, we start the interview or start the broadcast today with more of a fascinating human interest style story, but hey, it's something that has been discussed out there. We're going to get into some more of the 24/7 news cycle here in a little bit. We have a number of interviews to get to as well, but let's get to a few of our sponsors in the meantime. Again, if President Trump, for any reason, there at the White House goes from a closed press event to an open press, we'll be there for it here live. Thanks again for live streaming in with us here on Right Side. Let's go to All Family Pharmacy in the meantime. You know, more Americans are looking for healthcare that's simple, convenient, and really puts patients first. And that's one reason we're really proud to partner with All Family Pharmacy, because most pharmacies fill prescriptions, but All Family Pharmacies also focused on making the entire experience easier. Instead of long waits, endless phone calls, and crowded waiting rooms, you can complete a secure online medical questionnaire, have a licensed physician review your information, and then if appropriate, provide a prescription. Then your medication is shipped directly to your door, and they offer more than 400 medications, from everyday prescriptions, ivermectin, and antibiotics to wellness therapies like NAD+, Samoralin, and methylene blue. And then when you have questions, you can actually talk to a real member of their team, including a licensed pharmacist. So of course, we all appreciate services that respect our time, give us more choices, and make life a little easier. And that's exactly what All Family Pharmacy is doing. All you have to do is visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that promo code RSBN10 at checkout. You get that 10% off. And there's the number, 561-717-6794. All Family Pharmacy, great American independent pharmacy, one of our great sponsors here on Right Side, including Birch Gold Group. You could buy some gold if you'd like, put some silver in your pocket at the same time, but you might be saying, well, hey, I have to pay for groceries and gas and rent or mortgage payments and this and that. How am I going to purchase gold? Well, one thing you can control right now that doesn't cost you anything out of pocket is diversifying your retirement savings. So Birch Gold Group will help you convert an old 401k from a previous employer or an IRA into a physical IRA in gold, something that's really a hedge against inflation. And check this out right now, Birch Gold is going to give you a special America 250 1-ounce silver round for every $10,000 you purchase by July 10th, so tomorrow. And think about this, 10 years ago, an ounce of gold was about $1,200, and today it's around $4,500. So where will it be 10 years from now? Just text Trump to 989898 to take advantage of free America 250 silver with qualifying purchase before tomorrow. Again, text Trump to the number 989898 today. All right, so we have a few videos we're going to get to in just a minute, including all about the President Donald J. Trump International Airport, newly minted there in West Palm Beach. So we're going to go to some videos in just a minute. But before we do, let's go to Dennis Price. He's the founder of Heroes for Humanity. Dennis, thanks so much for joining us on Right Side.
Thank you so much for having me.
Definitely. Let's talk about Heroes for Humanity from that 30,000-foot view. Tell us about that organization.
Yeah, so Heroes for Humanity is a nonprofit that I started. It's not just a nonprofit, it's a ministry. It started during the fall of Kabul, Afghanistan, with the withdrawal. That is where myself and a guy named Chad Robichaux swam across from Tajikistan into Afghanistan, pulled out 77 Americans and vetted SIV, Special Immigration Visa, Afghan interpreters out, and who we left behind. That was the moment I realized that after 15 years of military and special operations experience, that switching my life goal from taking lives to saving lives, it was that God gave me this gift and empowered not just me, but a whole bunch of other military veterans and everyone to go do bigger, better things, not just for the government, America or anything, but to help each other. So we do precision personnel rescue, humanitarian medical aid, and evangelism.
Wow, that's awesome. That's the trifecta right there. And then thank you again for your service. That was quite the story right off the top. And can you share with us, right now in the 24/7 news cycle, we know the country of Venezuela hit hard with that earthquake, more than 3,000 people losing their lives. Are you guys helping with aftermath? Are you guys search and rescue as well? Like, what do you guys do with Venezuela?
Yeah, so from natural disasters that we covered, from Hurricane Helene in North Carolina, the Kerrville floods in Texas, the California fires, this is typical during the cycle of a natural disaster. Is it becomes search and rescue, looking for the alive. Eventually it becomes the deceit with bloat and rigor mortis, and then eventually it becomes removal of debris, buildings collapse, and then from there the reconstruction and the healing of the people. Right now there's tens of thousands of people who are displaced, homelessness, without food, without potable water, and without jobs now. So these are all the people who we're trying to provide biblical counseling through, to do humanitarian aid and medical aid. Now we're starting to see from prior crush injury or other injuries during the earthquake. Now it's prolonged field care and nursing care, that now their wounds could be infected, and all the other things that are happening due to the timeline has passed.
If you're just joining us now, this is the founder of Heroes for Humanity, Dennis Price. Dennis, can you tell us about the staff size? I mean, is this a huge team? Is this a small team of people? Tell us about that.
So we have approximately 12 to 14 volunteers from local Venezuelans, some of the other veterans who served, who live in that local area, Brazil, and even our American teams trickling in and out to constantly replace. But so far, it could be anywhere from 3 to 4, embedding with other organizations like Steve Slepcevic and Byron Rogers with SRP, Strategic Response Partners, to Chase, to a whole bunch of other people like Cajun Navy. We're embedding with our local partners and volunteer on our behalf to provide search and rescue, now humanitarian and medical aid, and then the resiliency part of that. as we keep trickling in. And that's actually not a problem that we're not just having in our NGO and our ministry. It's the State Department and authorizing, not just from State Department, but Venezuela is giving some pushback of who can come in, who can come out, what organizations can come in. So that's a struggle that all the NGOs across the board are having right now.
So what I'm gathering from this interview right now on the fly is the fact that people that served in our military, like yourself, when you're out of the military, you still have that fierce fighting spirit to do something for humanity. Isn't that what's going on?
Absolutely. I mean, the patriotism that causes someone to serve their country, even not just veterans, but first responders and medical care personnel, we equip them with not just being patriotic and helping Americans, but helping humanity with using their gifts and talents. So, and if anyone wants to join or find out more about us, go to theheroesforhumanity.org or follow us on Instagram at heroes.4.humanity to find how they can share their time, treasure, or talent so that we can help each other. Because when we go to heaven, we don't go to American heaven, Ukrainian heaven, Mexican heaven, or Venezuelan. We go to heaven, and we're here to, how can we help one another united?
It's pretty awesome, because then the good news of Jesus Christ is also shared with people there, praying with people. I mean, it's a powerful thing that you guys are doing there. Again, Heroes for Humanity founder Dennis Price, thank you so much for what you're doing. I'm glad we can interview you here, and hopefully this will be posted on X and other places so more people can help you guys help others. Heroes for Humanity founder Dennis Price. Thank you again, sir. Thank you so much for having me on. Definitely. Awesome stuff there with Dennis Price, Heroes for Humanity. You know, a lot of those NGOs out there, you know, there's non-governmental organizations in this country and across the earth, and sometimes you don't know who's someone that you can trust, or you put your money into something. But when you have people that are military veterans that are doing things in the name of Jesus or the United States or freedom, it's great to see it. So wonderful interview there here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, so we have some more live interviews to get to and some videos. So why don't we do this? Let's go to something a little bit lighter right now with, I think it's clip number 4. So the President Donald J. Trump International Airport. That is something that is brand new today. It's minted out there now. We know we've heard about it before, but now the signs are going up. So let's go to clip number 4 of some of the signage seen there in Palm Beach County. All right, so that's pretty cool. The signage is cool, but you know what else is, I think, cooler is how about from a flight deck of an actual airplane landing and talking about the new airport. We're going to get to that from Eric Trump in just a second. Let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN first, as we see Mike Lindell, of course, there. mypillow.com/RSBN, a ton of great products, as you guys know, from the pillows to the sheets to the dog beds, the coffee, the slides, the slippers, the list goes on. And as many of you know that watch Right Side Broadcasting Network, whether it's 200 or 2 million, we love Mike Lindell. We love mypillow.com. You remember back in the day when one of the companies, big box store, they're like, we're not going to sell Mike Lindell's pillows anymore because Mike was talking about election integrity and that kind of thing. Well, that business went under. Yeah, you go woke, you go broke. Yeah, I mean, it's the American people, the huge majority of us are on the side of God, family, country, and freedom, as you guys know. And Mike Lindell, one of the great leaders out there. So mypillow.com/RSBN. Give it a try and check it out if you'd like. And if you'd like to donate to Right Side, all you have to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. It's rsbnetwork.com/donate. All right, so Eric Trump flew to the newly minted President Donald J. Trump International Airport in West Palm Beach, Florida recently. Here's the video from the flight deck. Check it out.
Attention all aircraft, effective immediately. Palm Beach International Airport is officially President Donald J. Trump International Airport. President Donald J. Trump International Airport. ATIS Information Hotel, now current. Trump altimeter 3009.
we go. It's official.
Always 7 Alpha Foxtrot. Understanding President
And you could hear Eric in the background saying, there you go, it's official. So that is one of the airports out there. I'd rather fly from Reagan in D.C. to Donald J. Trump International Airport any day of the week over a place like maybe the Clintons Airport in Little Rock and maybe the Bush Airport down there in Texas. Hey, it is what it is. Speaking of airplanes, speaking of the president, clip number 2, President Trump speaking with the press on his way back from Ankara, Turkey just yesterday. Let's take a look at that clip.
It's a long walk to you. It's about 3 times the walk we used to take, right? I hope you like it. So we had a very good day, very good 2 days, and a lot of things were determined. And what was really determined is the country's doing very well. We made a lot of good trade deals with Turkey, and they've been a very good partner. He's been great, by the way. President Erdogan's been great, and I hope you had a good time. Any questions?
Mr. President, what was the security concern that caused us to change planes? What was the security concern that caused us to change planes?
We sent this one in so that the Air Force Base here was in the same exact line. So you saw, did you see the picture?
We did.
Hundreds of pictures, hundreds of people. Let me see that. Oh, yeah. You can't see it too well, but there are hundreds of people out there. So they wanted to see. So they came a little bit early and we switched planes.
So you're saying there wasn't a security concern?
No. Why would
there any other issue? No issues?
No, except we sent it a little early. Same line going back. We sent it a little bit early so that we could let them see it. The whole base came out and saw the plane, and then we landed.
Do you know why they had us close our window blinds? That was unusual.
Well, yeah, because you're, probably on a dangerous flight because of the sleaze bags that we have to deal with.
So you think that Iran was possibly thinking, trying
Well, I mean, if they asked you to close your windows, probably they feel that way. They didn't ask me to close mine, but if they did, I would have done it. No, these are sick people, so I could see something like that. I didn't know they did that, but I could see something like that.
Were you aware of any credible threat by Iran against Air Force
Well, I have
One?
a threat all the time. I'm number 1 on their list before you. But if I go, you go, right?
But was there a specific
So
threat today?
perhaps someday you want to change professions. What do you have, Daniel? We just hit them very hard, and I say we hit them 20-1. Every time they hit us, we're going to hit them 20. And we did it last night. They did a little something today, but it was really retribution for last night. They hit actually 3 boats, not 2. And when they hit, we hit back much harder.
Are we returning to a full-scale military conflict, sir?
I don't know. I don't know. We'd win it very quickly. It's another way of doing it. We have many ways we can win, but we've already won militarily. They have very little. They have very little left, and they want to make a deal so badly. They called a little while ago. They want to make a deal so badly. I just don't know if they're worthy of making a deal. I don't know that they're going to honor the deal. That's the problem.
If they want to make a deal, why do you think they attacked commercial vessels?
Because they're sort of crazy, to be honest with you. They're sort of crazy. They're a little bit out of control, but they want to make a deal. Badly.
So
Have you spoken to Senator Mitch McConnell since his hospitalization?
No, I haven't.
How's he doing?
I have no idea.
Idea how he's doing?
I have no idea how he's doing.
at the beginning of before the NATO summit, you spoke.
Who are you with?
Reuters. You had
not the best.
You had issues with. You said you had issues with leaders of Spain, UK.
Yeah.
various
Spain,
other
I will
countries.
say I did have issues with
Also
Spain,
Germany.
and I still do. But Spain came back all the way today. Spain was very generous today. You know, I told them I'm going to stop trading.
What did Spain do there?
They made, they honored a request for lots of payment. And if they didn't, we wouldn't even talk to them. They were very bad. They behaved very badly, in my opinion. But there was great unity in that room today, the NATO room. It was pretty amazing, actually. There was something very good about it. I actually wish the press was able to stay. Now, they may have been different if the press was there, but there was tremendous unity and togetherness. It was quite nice.
Sir, are you going to pull more U.S. troops out of Europe? And if so, how many and where specifically?
I haven't made that final determination. A lot's going to depend on Greenland, and a lot. I mean, going to make a very good deal on Greenland. And if we don't, maybe I will. And a lot's dependent on Iran. I mean, they want to help now. You know, it's a little late to the thing because essentially there's not that much fighting to be done. But some will depend on Iran. You know, when they had a chance, an opportunity to help, they chose not to. So, but we're sort of forgetting about that. And now they want to help. They all want to go in. They want to help on Iran so badly, but we don't really need help. It's little things, but we don't really need help.
Did President al-Shara make any commitments to you on helping with Hezbollah in Lebanon?
Yeah, he did.
What did
He's done a great job. He's unified Syria, the president. I'm not going to say what he said, but yeah, he did. He was great today. He was great, and President Zelensky was great too. We had a lot of good meetings today.
Sir, you suggested that the only reason you came to this summit was because it was held in Turkey. Was this your last NATO summit?
No, I think they came a long way today. They made some concessions, and I think NATO came a long way today. And one of the things, you know, we shouldn't be paying for the kind of money we're paid for. No president. I did in my first term, but Biden immediately gave it back. No president should be having to pay the kind of money we pay. And again, we're really there for protecting them, not for protecting us. Ultimately was protected against this protection against the Soviet Union, now Russia, but it was against the Soviet Union. And you know, honestly, we're very far away. We have an ocean separating us. We'll see. The meeting today settled a lot of things. It was a very, very good meeting. And people understand that the United States we've been treated very unfairly. And then on top of that, they weren't there for a really de-nuking, because it's really not a war so much, it's a de-nuking of Iran, denuclearization of Iran. So this is all about taking nuclear weapons, not allowing Iran to have nuclear weapons, and everybody should like that, even you. You have a question?
Yeah, the housing bill becomes law on Friday night if you don't sign it. What do you plan to do?
About what?
The housing bill?
It's a very good question. See, I'm a big fan of many bills, but I'm a much bigger fan of the most important bill. It's called the Save America Act. It's voter ID, it's proof of citizenship, and it's no mail-in ballots. Other than it would be very, easy on this, frankly. But military, illness, disability, vacations, you can't get there, you're away, business. But other than that, you should go and vote. And if you don't, people cheat. You look at California, look at what happened in this Spencer Pratt thing. I mean, with the votes, hundreds of thousands, probably millions of votes gone. Well, he didn't make the runoff. He was so far ahead of third place, it was ridiculous. Maybe ahead of first place. But look at that. Look at what's happened with Steve Hilton. Had the U.S. attorney not started an investigation, they would have gotten Steve Hilton out too. So we're a third world country in some states with respect to voting.
Friday is the deadline for the housing. Friday is the deadline after which the housing bill will become law without your signature. Will you
I'll make a decision. Not that I dislike it. I dislike the fact that people aren't voting for voter ID with a picture. How can you not vote for voter ID? And by the way, the public wants it 94%. Voter ID, proof of citizenship, no mail-in ballots, other than with the exceptions.
On Venezuela, did you tell Machado not to go back to Venezuela the other week? And what's your relationship?
You mean, did I tell him a long time ago?
No, Maria Corina Machado, the opposition figure. Did you tell her not to go back?
Oh, no, not at all. No, she's terrific. She's a wonderful person. Did she go back? I guess, right?
She didn't, and it was reported that
she did or didn't.
She did not. It was reported.
I did not tell her to not go back. I think she's a good person. She gave me the Nobel Prize, right? So how can I dislike her? She won the Nobel Prize. She said the only one that should win it is Trump. I didn't know her at all. So she said Trump settled 8 wars, which is true. They were talking about it today. Azerbaijan. I mean, think of the wars they settled. 8 wars that were going on for 30. Even if you look in the Congo versus Rwanda, I settled it. After 14 years and about 15 million people had their heads chopped off, I settled that one. I settled 8 wars. And when she won the Nobel Prize for Peace, she said, I can't believe I won it. The only one that should win it is Trump. Actually, they probably will do the wrong thing. It's very sad with Norway, but I would say I should have won that award more than anybody that ever received the Nobel Peace Prize. Because nobody settled wars. I settled 8 of them because of a certain type of personality I was able to settle. Think of it, India and Pakistan. You know, because you covered it, that war was raging. They were a week into it, 11 planes were shot down, and that war was going to go nuclear. The Prime Minister of Pakistan said President Trump saved from 30 to 50 million lives. Well, guess what? It could have been a lot more than that.
Do you think Democrats should be able to pick a replacement?
A story that hasn't gotten a lot of attention, starting on July 1st, Medicare is now covering GLP-1 drugs for weight loss only. It's the first time it's ever happened. It happened under your leadership.
Yeah.
How big of a deal is that for people?
Well, because of favored nations, the drug prices have come down tremendously. And also, if you look at Trump RX, it's been unbelievable, the price cuts. But take a look at what we've done in terms of favored nations. We paid the highest drug price in the entire world, and now we pay the lowest drug price in the entire world. And that means 400, 500, 600% difference. Think of it. The press doesn't want to write about it. And to get that, I had to get the drug companies to do it, and they were good. But they were good because they knew that I couldn't get the countries to do it. You had to get both. And I called the countries. I said, if you don't do it, I'm going to put a very big tariff on you. That's more money. And every country agreed to it. So we went from the highest drug prices in the world, like in New York, a pill would cost $130, and in London it costs $10. So now it costs $20 and $20, because the world is a bigger place, so it's not really split 50-50. So we got it down, and it's a great question, because that should have a huge impact on healthcare, because prescription drugs is a big price, but prescription drugs have come down 400 to 500 to 600% under Trump. And that alone should win us the midterms. And the Democrats will terminate it and try and blame somebody else like us did. As I call them, the Democrats. Democrat. You know what a Democrat?
Speaking of Democrats, do you think that the Democrats should be able to pick a replacement for Graham Plattner? He's had all these new allegations that have come out. Now Democrats are talking about picking a replacement for him. Should they be able to do that?
They're picking what?
A replacement for Graham Plattner if he steps out of the race.
So he won the primary.
Mm-hmm. And now there's these new allegations.
It's very hard for them to do. And it's really a question of whether or not you believe the woman. A lot of people say big falsehoods. It's he's in a bind. He's in a bind. But should they be able to do it? Well, I guess he's going to lose. I would imagine he's going to lose. It's very interesting when a Republican woman came out with the same charge, nobody believed her. When this woman came out, everybody believed her. Right, Doug? Did you get any pictures of it, Doug? You don't want them. It wouldn't sell, Doug. So, any other questions?
Yes, a new Federal Reserve working paper came out, and it suggested that the illegal migration surge under Joe Biden caused housing costs to spike 30%. What is the lesson to be learned in that?
What's happening is housing costs are going down and rental costs are going down because we're getting so many illegals out of the country. But Joe Biden raised the cost of housing by 40 and 50%. The cost of rental, because they were housing illegal aliens in all of those empty units, and now they're coming down because we're removing people that are here illegally, criminals from the Congo, from Venezuela. We love Venezuela, but Maduro emptied out his jails. They opened up their jails, they let them in, but many countries did that. 25 million people, and I think we're getting most of the bad ones out, and we start the process, but we've done very well in that. But it was a tremendous increase in housing costs. By allowing you don't even think of that. And you know who paid for it? The federal government. So the federal government is renting at tremendous prices all of these houses to service illegal immigrants. But they're not taking care of our soldiers. They didn't take care of our soldiers. So it's a sad thing. Enjoy the flight.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir.
It was number 5 or 6 or 7 today. And every question is a kill. But then we have Daniel and some very good reporters. You're a great reporter, Bob. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, so obviously the president speaking to the press there. Coming back from Turkey, that trip, the NATO summit trip. Before we go to some of our sponsors, let's go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. We have a number of interviews to get to and some more videos to show you, especially some that are just making its rounds on X, Truth Social, and various social platforms out there. Let's go to Kalshi.com/RSBN, one of our great sponsors here. You can see trending political markets right now. So you can go through all of that if you just go to Kalshi.com/RSBN or download the app or go to the QR code. So 3 ways to get there to Kalshi. Of course, a lot of topics outside of politics as well, but obviously if you're watching Right Side Broadcasting Network, you might have a bit of an interest in some of the politics out there. So go to Kalshi.com/RSBN for more information, and always know that there are a ton of topics to choose from there to bet, trade, or just check out the polls. Kalshi.com/RSBN. Let's go to one more sponsor before our next live interview here on Right Side. As you see, Cove Pure. You know, we just celebrated, of course, America's 250th birthday, but here's the crazy part. 250 years later, we're still here drinking whatever the government decided to put in our water. Fluoride for your teeth, chlorine to keep things clean. Well, that's not a decision someone else should be making for your family, which is why you should be using Cove Pure, because more than 209 million Americans are on fluoridated water right now. And here's what the science actually shows. A recent study confirmed that fluoride exposure is linked to lower IQ scores in children. And that's not just some fringe study out there. That's from JAMA Pediatrics, one of the most respected medical journals in the world. And then on top of that, the chlorine, all the things. And that's not even the worst part. It's what happens when it reacts with natural particles in the water from plants and soil. It actually creates chemical byproducts called THMs, which the government itself calls probable human carcinogens. It's really linked to things like disruption of your gut and also can be cancer causing. So there are some states out there moving on this. Utah and Florida banned fluoride, but that process unfortunately takes a while, years in some cases. So your kids, your family, they're drinking this water today, and you really need something that works now. And that's exactly what Cove Pure is. They're certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants. Things like fluoride, THMs, pharmaceuticals, PFAs, anything that isn't water gets filtered out. And then you can see it looks great right there on the counter. You don't have to some complex, installation process with this. The thing just plugs right in. It makes your water taste great, and the best part is it gives you whatever temperature water you want, hot, cold, or warm, instantly with a tap of a button. So don't wait for the government to catch up. Take back control of your water, and in honor of America's 250th birthday, Cove Pure is giving you that $250 off if you use the link covepure.com/RSBN. So covepure.com/RSBN. All right, it's 2:40 Eastern Time here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We know that President Trump will have a signing time at 3 o'clock Eastern Time at the White House. Right now, that event is closed to the press. If it opens, we'll be here for it. Either way, just going over some of the news and some of the things that we're seeing out there. Let's go all the way from Alabama, where we're based, to Arizona. Kim Miller, the founder and president of Arizona Women of Action, is joining us right now. Thanks so much for joining us, Kim.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to meet your audience.
Yeah, definitely. And people that watch our network love election integrity, election security. They love Arizona, and also they love organizations like yours. So can you tell us about your organization to people that are unaware?
Yes, we started back in 2020 as Arizona Women of Action. It was a group of women who were we were from different churches, Christian women. We were awakened by the insanity going on that everybody was experiencing. And we were saying, what can we do about it? How did all of this happen? We've been conservative, watching the news, but really not engaged locally. And we said, you know what? We've taken our eye off the ball. We're busy. We're running our families, our businesses, all kinds of things. We had grandmas down to women in their 20s. And we said, what can we do? How do we start to get involved and get in, impacting our culture in a way that it's about stewardship. And so we just got to steward our communities and our friends, our families, all of that. And so we started as Arizona Women of Action, but fast forward, ended up working with Charlie Kirk and Turning Point in the 24 election. I like to say we're part of the reason that we won by the largest margin of victory of any swing state. But because we have grown to the point where we've got around 50,000 followers going on, and we're getting other states who are really interested in how are we getting this ground game going in getting people plugged in where God's gifted them, where they have their best impact on the issues of families, faith, and freedom. And so now we're America's Women. So we have America's Women, Arizona, and we're looking at some other states and really building our plan for this midterm election. So it's really exciting.
It is exciting. I checked out the X page. You guys have quite the following, and that number is going to only grow because, it seems as if there are families out there that politics, they kind of keep it out of the family. There's just so much going on in life. So how did you be able to say, you know what, I have to focus in on this more than just take care of the family, which that's a job in itself.
Oh, amen. It really is. And people are unaware. I think that what I've learned is that people in politics or in this realm oftentimes miss the heart of what drives someone to get involved. We think we just start talking to people during election time when really we need to be engaging families, especially Christians and women, because women are the ones who impact culture. We network more than men do. Typically, we have been really outvoting men in presidential elections since 1980. We are the ones who impact our kids' political, opinions more. And this last election in 24, we had 8.7 million more women voted than men did. So we cannot ignore women, but we're not reaching them in the right way. We're just making it, about these political ads and things. And there's so much manipulation. Women are distracted, they're discouraged, and they're deceived. So we are building those relationships through connections and relationships on what matters. What are the values? And families are the key, like what you said. And when you reach women where they are, where it matters, it doesn't matter what political party they're in. They will come together and say, here's where we need to get on the field and work together. So we're getting women shifting parties. We're helping women to see, and even getting men. We have a lot of men who are getting our weekly newsletter and following us. And so it's fun because God's really been launching this forward.
That's awesome. It's great to see that. And it's great to see that there may be some woke liberal women that are saying, you know what, you guys have something, you're speaking some common sense over there. It's totally different than what the mainstream media has been feeding me for decades. And you've been meeting some people like that, that extreme, or is it more kind of like, hey, the Democrat Party from back in the day types?
That's a great question because yes, there are those extreme left-wing women who that's not my number one priority. they're going to be there, but there are so many women in the middle who just are complacent. They're busy. Like I said, they're distracted, discouraged. Oh, there's nothing I can do about it. And we're going, no, we are going to shift culture by starting local. You have a voice. You have important things to say and important impact that you can make in your own state. But even in a ministry area that you might care about, we have to work together. And so, and for election years, obviously, we've got to get more people voting and stewarding that really important gift that we have of a vote, and get women who say, I don't like politics. Well, nobody really does. Maybe some people do, but it's like, but politics are necessary, and we could do all this work on the ground, and if the political climate changes, we get the wrong people in office who are not going to fight for those family values, then that's on us. So we're doing an event in September called Your Family on the Ballot in Arizona. I would love to be able to do this in other states too, but really making the case for people who care about family values. Literally, your family is on the ballot. The candidates are placeholders. They're going to come and go. They are important to know. You want to know which candidates are there and who's going to support your values. But your values and your family is on the ballot. So take an interest and get out to the polls. This is the most consequential election, I could say, in decades, because this is going to determine what happens in 28. It's going to determine these next 2 years for sure. Because if we lose the House, think of all the committees now that will be impacted, and that we can't get agendas moving forward because the committees are all going to be run by people who are against our family values.
Some would say the country hangs in the balance because, you look at what President Trump's talking about, the Save America Act. I mean, it's called the Save America Act. You know what I mean? So it's like something that obviously we've been talking about for a while. So again, you're the founder and president of Arizona Women of Action, but what's your role then when it's America's Women, which is the national chapter? Is that what you're saying?
I actually we've shifted our name now. So Arizona Women of Action, that is our C4, our name. Actually, it's America's Women of Action, but everyone in Arizona, we've had such a strong following that people still put that out. So technically our name right now is, and going forward, is America's Women of Action and America's Women, which is our 501c3. Because awesome. So much of what we do is just giving information and helping people to be civically aware and knowing their values. We have a values proclamation we're going to be sending out very soon, 7 key values that women can say, yeah, I'm for that. They're common sense values. Because when we talk about values voting, what values are we talking about? These are all foundational American values, common sense, that all kinds of women can come around and say, yeah, I may not be a registered Republican, I could be an independent, or even some Democrats, but I believe that, education should not indoctrinate. It should educate. And that boys should not be playing against girls in sports, things like that. We actually did intervene on the Save Women Sports case back in Arizona in 22 nationally. So we were trying to, and now, thank goodness, for this unanimous decision recently, we are owning that again. So that's a huge win for women.
There are real freedom fighters, of course, across the nation that fight legally, lawfully, and spiritually. But what is it about the fierce spirit of, mama bears out there in Arizona? Like, what is up with you guys? I mean, you guys are awesome.
It's the Wild West, Matt. I mean, we just, we're pioneers. We're not afraid to get in there and roll up our sleeves. We're women who have a good time. And so much of this, people come to our events and they're like, I didn't know you could have so much fun and talk about political issues and we're going to be, some of the stuff we're going to do for this midterm strategy is parties with purpose. Just having women open up their home for a coffee or a happy hour or something, learn about the candidates on your ballot. Maybe have some candidates visit them if we arrange those kind of things, and talk about what's important. But people tell us all the time, I found my people. I found my posse, because women love connecting, but also connecting around what matters. So it's just, I have to say it's a God thing. That's what started this, and that's what's going to keep it going.
That's awesome. speaking about God, I mean, I saw on your guys' X page as well about Bibles in schools, and finally just wanted to get your reaction to that, because of course there's a number of history books in schools, and we're a nation, of course, founded on Judeo-Christian principles, so every school should have a Bible in it, no?
Yes, they should. And now we even have the right to post the 10 Commandments in our schools. And so many people don't know that you can do that. So we're trying to share that around and get parents to go and talk to their teachers and their administrators and say, I want this. Because if people aren't aware, if the grassroots, the ground people don't know, then it just won't happen until someone says something. And it's so easy. And so parents need to know that, yes, your kids can bring a Bible into school. There's also a program called LifeWise Academy that has instruction of biblical religious instruction during school hours, which is a law. And some other faith communities are using it. But there's a way to actually ask your school for this, and they have to give your child an hour where they can leave the school property, get religious instruction. They're seeing huge, impact in their classroom. Not only salvation's happening, but the teachers love what it does to the decorum in the classroom. The behavioral issues are going away because guess what? We're teaching character. We're teaching the basics, and just such transformation is happening. So you're right. We need to get back to those foundations in education and having kids learning things and not this sexualized propaganda or the activism and all of that. People are finished with that. We just actually have an Instagram post if people want to follow us. It's going viral today. We had a young mom in Phoenix, the main Phoenix Public Library. There was a story time, and she was shocked that they were reading this story about, well, what color is your underwear? And so she posts about that, and we reposted and are just sending that out. But the mom is young. She's got pink hair and a nose ring, and you would think, oh, she's probably not on our side. But you know what? She is. Because she doesn't want her daughter being groomed like that. I mean, it literally is to that level where, and I've sent that around, and I've had some of my conservative friends say, this can't be true. Well, it is. And that's why we're trying to awaken women to see that the urgency is now. We have to be speaking up, and it's not that hard. I mean, just to talk to your librarians, send messages to your state lawmakers, get our newsletter every week, which we put out on Tuesdays usually, so that they know how they can make their voice heard. Yep.
If my family and I lived in Arizona, we would say, Kim Miller, run for Congress, please. I mean, seriously, you have that ability to just share these thoughts that are resonating with the American people. So maybe think about it someday, no?
I've had people ask me about that, and I said, I know too much now about how I love finding great people to run who have the right convictions, who truly are doing it for the right reasons. And they're hard to find. Oftentimes, even people who, are on our side of the aisle oftentimes have, they're motivated by other things, and it comes out later. But I am just going to go where God calls me to. And right now, I think he just, what I see is he wants me to lead a movement of women again, who are empowered, who are informed, engaged, and voting. And that's our tagline. And obviously, and the faith aspect is a huge part of ours, because that's the foundation of our country, of all of our policies, is this belief in the God who created each one of us, and he created this nation. Has his stamp on it. So I'm going to go where he wants me to go, and it's fun, and I'm excited to see what happens as we go into other states.
Yeah, no, it'll be great to see your guys' organization spread throughout the entire United States of America. This is Kim Miller. She's the founder and president of America's Women of Action. Thank you so much for joining us, Kim.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Definitely. Awesome stuff there. Again, something about Arizona. There's just people that every time I've seen various, Zoom meetings or election integrity meetings, the people from Arizona are just like like she said, it's the Wild West, and they're not afraid to get their hands dirty. But I know that a number of other people across this country, no matter what state you're watching from right now, you love God, family, country, and you want this country to be saved. And we want to see the Save America Act passed. All right, let's go to a couple of sponsors in the meantime. We have a number of things to get to as we are live right now, as we approach that top of the hour. All Family Pharmacy, as you see there, more Americans are looking for health care that's simple, convenient, and puts patients first. And that's really one reason we're proud to partner with All Family Pharmacy, because most pharmacies fill prescriptions. All Family Pharmacy does that. Plus, they're focused on making the entire experience easier. Instead of those long waits, endless phone calls, and crowded waiting rooms, you can actually complete a secure online medical questionnaire, have a licensed physician review your information, and if appropriate, provide a prescription. Then your medication is shipped directly to your door. And they offer more than 400 medications, from everyday prescriptions, ivermectin, antibiotics, wellness therapies like NAD+, Samorlin, also methylene blue. And when you have questions, you can actually speak with them on the phone, a real member of their team, including a licensed pharmacist. So, of course, we all appreciate services that respect our time and give us more choices and make life a little easier. And that's exactly what All Family Pharmacy is doing. So just go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You get that 10% off. You have the QR code there, and you see that phone number as well, 561-717-6794. Let's go to one of our other sponsors here on right side. You see Birch Gold Group. We've been talking about that. You know, you can buy some gold and put some silver in your pocket, and gold is not that cheap though. So how in the world would you do that? Well, one thing you can control right now that doesn't cost you anything out of pocket is diversifying your retirement savings. And Birch Gold Group will help you convert an old 401k from a previous employer or an IRA into a physical IRA in gold. It's really something that's a hedge against inflation. And check this out. Right now, Birch Gold is going to give you that special America 250 1-ounce silver round for every $10,000 you purchase by July 10th. And check this out. 10 years ago, an ounce of gold was about $1,200. Today, it's around $4,500. The question is, where will it be a decade from now? So just text Trump to get the ball rolling, 2989898, to take advantage of the free America 250 silver with qualifying purchase before July 10th. Again, text Trump to that number, 989898 today. We are approaching the top of the hour. And what we do know at the top of the hour is that President Trump will participate in a signing time inside the Oval Office. Sometimes he's signing executive orders, sometimes signing bills into law. Trust me, if it was a bill into law today, I'm sure this would be an open press event. Right now, the president's schedule, the White House schedule, says it's a closed press event. If it opens, we'll take you there live. That's happened before, but sticking here live with you here as we cover the 24/7 news cycle and bring on various guests throughout the country here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's do this. Let's shift gears as we await if the president's situation there when it comes to the Oval Office, if it becomes an open press event, we'll go there as I mentioned. But let's go to Brightcore Nutrition. Ellie Hirsch, we spoke and caught up with her about Brightcore. So let's check out that recorded interview. As of today, more than 4,400 lawsuits have been filed in the United States alone regarding GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy. And while these lawsuits primarily focus on gastrointestinal issues as an unlabeled side effect of the drug, an increasing number cite a wide variety of concerning health issues, ranging from sudden vision loss to organ failure and sometimes even death. For more on this, let's go to Senior Health Advisor with Brightcore, Ellie Hirsch. Thank you so much for joining us, Ellie.
Thank you. Yeah, it is absolutely crazy that there are this many lawsuits piling up against these drug companies. And it's not surprising because there are currently 31 million Americans who are taking GLP-1 medications.
That's unbelievable. So the question is, have any of you seen this phenomenon they're calling Ozempic face?
Yeah. So Ozempic face, you know, it's caused by the rapid, significant weight loss that you get from the GLP-1 medications. And it causes the fat to vanish so quickly from the face is that, you know, it just doesn't have time to catch up, right? So when you're losing weight in a healthy way, 3/4 of your weight should be fat mass. So if you lose 20 pounds, 15 of that should be fat and 5 pounds should be lean mass. But the problem is, so the patients that are taking these weight loss drugs are actually losing more muscle than fat mass. So 2/3 of their weight loss is lean muscle mass. So they're getting lighter, but they're getting fatter, right? So yeah, it's crazy. So Ozempic face is honestly the least of your worries if you're taking one of these drugs. The truth is it's causing all sorts of health issues. It's not pretty on the inside. And as you can see, it's not pretty on the outside.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, already this makes me think I'd rather take something that's a natural remedy instead of something that will do all of that. But can you explain to our viewers why this is actually happening, though?
Yeah, I mean, the lawsuits are coming in. They're all about sudden vision loss. People are going blind, stomach paralysis, and in some cases, even complete organ failure and death, right? So the problem really is that all these pharmaceutical companies that make these drugs, they want to make a profit, right? We all know that. It's a business. And it should be the FDA's job to make sure they're safe. But, you know, in different cases, they failed. And given their history, you know, I'm not surprised. It's not the first or last time they will fail us. Listen, I just turned 50 a few weeks ago. I know the importance of maintaining your health while dieting to lose weight. So these GLP-1 drugs, however, they're proving to be anything but healthy. And we all know what you see on the outside is a reflection of what these drugs are doing to our internal health as well. And we already know how to naturally lose weight. Right? You have diet, you have exercise, and I get it. Losing weight isn't easy, otherwise everybody would do it. So people want shortcuts, and many turn to the GLP-1s as those shortcuts. And, you know, in addition to that, a remarkable centuries-old fermented food called kimchi, I think we've all heard of it, we don't all eat it. It has specific probiotic strains, actually over 900, and they've been proven to assist in weight loss and reduce risk of obesity naturally.
And that's something that a lot of people are interested in. And I've been hearing about kimchi a lot, not just lately, over the years. I remember my wife talking about it too. Now, is it a probiotic or prebiotic? Can you give us some of the 411 on what kimchi does for you?
Kimchi is absolutely magical. Again, it has over 900 strains of bacteria. It really keeps your gut in check, right? It helps with the balance of good and bad bacteria. And it has so many benefits. In fact, there was a preclinical study recently about kimchi's powerful ability to reduce body fat, 31.8%. By 31.8%. So it's really, the studies are pretty amazing. But I will say it's not always due to body fat that people have big bellies. So bloating, right? It plays a huge role in what your waistline looks like, and it's not comfortable. But kimchi, they've shown to significantly reduce bloating. And the reason why is because when you eat kimchi, you have better digestion, better regularity, so you're not as bloated, and you're doing this naturally. And also, you know, another study shows that the consumption of kimchi, it balances your blood sugar, regulates blood pressure, it lowers your bad cholesterol. And, you know, the key to getting all these benefits is from daily consumption, right? As Americans, we do not eat. It's not part of our staple, right? Korea, it is. That's why they live 9 years longer. But that is why we created Kimchi One. It's all the nutrition of kimchi, but it's in a convenient daily capsule. And it's 100% made in the USA. It's all natural, non-GMO, soy-free, dairy-free, gluten-free. And what I really love about working at Brightcore is talking to the people that are taking Kimchi One, right? The customers. There are success stories I've never heard before from anything even close to this. So we talked about digestion and bloating, right? So people are finally feeling regular. And I will say, I take Kimchi One, and the first thing I notice, probably within a week, is that my jeans buttoned up easier. And you feel more comfortable, and you're like, wow, like I don't need a GLP-1. I can just take something that the studies show works, right? And it does, and it's healthy for you. People have problems with their immune system. They're getting sick all the time, and they don't know why, right? They're not getting sick anymore because 70 to 80% of our immune system is housed in the gut. So it all relates back to the gut. You know, diabetes, right? People struggle with the blood sugar, the blood pressure, their weight. They are experiencing a dramatic change. So it really is magical, and it's just so fantastic that we can offer this to people.
And it's awesome that it's in a capsule as well.
Yeah.
It's an easy. This is something you could take if you're taking vitamins along with it. It's very easy, and this seems like something that's going to actually work. We're hearing reviews from actual people, and then through Brightcore as well. So it must be one of your guys' flagship products at least. I mean, because this is a great one. Now, do you have any special offers for our RSBN viewers when it comes to Kimchi One?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you guys get 25% off by clicking the link below and using code RSBN. But I will say you should call. The number is 888-722-0936. And the reason why, if you call, you can get up to 50% off and free shipping. And also the first 100 callers, you're going to get a bottle of Thrive, which is another product, right? So Thrive, it's a curcumin turmeric complex combined with ginger and black pepper extract, and that will combat inflammation. It'll boost your brain function and even promotes liver health. So yeah, we have so many amazing products, really, but you only get the best discounts and the free bottle when you call. And that number again is 888-722-0936.
And that's what I like about any company that is selling these great products, is that you can also talk to somebody on the phone. And you're not just selling just on a website alone. You can get your answers or your questions answered, and you can get that with Brightcore. So the senior health advisor with Brightcore, Ellie Hirsch, thanks so much for that explanation into what a lot of people are talking about, Ozempic. But that Kimchi One sounds like a much better natural solution for gut health. So thank you again, Ellie, for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely. All right, back here live here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Thanks again for live streaming in with us. If you're watching this later on replay, you know it's going to be the dog days of summer. It's hot out there too, isn't it? But hey, thank God for air conditioning. You know, we were talking yesterday here at the station and talking about the fact that a lot of people in Europe, they just don't have AC at the apartment or at the house. Man, I'm very happy to be an American. Holy smokes, especially down here in the southeast. The humidity today, it was 8:30 in the morning. It felt like I walked into 100 degrees, which I probably did. Anyway, let's go to a few sponsors, including the following. Let's see where it is. There we go. It's coming up. All about the dog days of summer, actually. I want to take a minute to speak to all the parents watching today. It's officially the dog days of summer. And if your house is anything like ours used to be, that means the dog sprawls out on the coolest tile floor he can find, refusing to move for anyone. It seems our dogs tend to run the house, and honestly, we wouldn't have it any other way. Well, here's a fun fact. Our founding fathers were the exact same way. Turns out long before they were founding a nation, they were the original dog people, tails wagging in the halls of Mount Vernon and Monticello, muddy paw prints on important documents, probably. Our founders love their dogs every bit as much as we love ours today. So with America's 250th birthday, what better way to get kids excited about history than through the goofy, loyal, tail-wagging companions who were there for it all? Our friends at the Kids Guide have put together a great guide called The Kids Guide to the Founders' Furry Friends, giving kids a fun and heartwarming look at the dogs who stood and sat and probably begged for scraps beside our nation's founders. So it's a perfect keepsake souvenir for kids, and they're giving it away for free at that huge website that you see right there, freeusadoggift.com. That's a perfect site right there for you to get access to this. Plus, when you request your copy, they're also giving you a second free guide called The Kids Guide to the Founder's Message for Today, a must-read for every child. So during these dog days of summer, head on over to freeusadoggift.com right now to get these free guides for your family and help celebrate America's 250th birthday the right way. Let's go from freeusadoggift.com to Tax Network USA. Quite a different topic, but still great sponsorships here on Right Side. If you have any back taxes, straight up, if you're having kind of a maybe stress about it, maybe not having financial peace of mind, or maybe you filed every year but you still keep owing, or you might have retired recently and suddenly get hit with a tax bill you didn't expect. There's a million different situations that are out there when it comes to taxes, right? And however your tax issue started, the outcome is usually the same. The balance is just not going down. Penalties are growing, interest compounds, and then many of you are maybe dealing with some back taxes or just have to file. You can stop what you're doing and just call Tax Network USA. The IRS is not waiting. The IRS is enforcing collections through wage garnishments, bank levies, property seizures. They can even file for you without your consent. And this is really where Tax Network USA comes in, because they have more than 15 years in business. There hasn't been a tax case they haven't seen or resolved. They specialize in tax controversies and help taxpayers nationwide get back on track by resolving back taxes and unfiled returns once and for all. And whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, their team has resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. They could do the same for you, but you have to call them. I mean, they're offering this free investigation call with the IRS. And then after that investigation, they put a clear case plan in place to resolve your tax problem and get you back on track. It's really about using your legal rights to take control before the government sets the terms for you. So don't wait for another IRS letter or a frozen bank account. Just call them at 877-479-6503. 877-479-6503 or visit tnusa.com/RSBN. Great sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's always good to have some financial peace of mind. You can get it through tnusa.com/RSBN. It's 3:11. You know, you might have heard about the Donald J. Trump International Airport. Actually, it's called President Donald J. Trump International Airport. Well, we just received from some of the officials down there in Palm Beach. Specifically, I'm going to get to the names here of all of that. It's the public information officer with the Palm Beach County Department of Airports. Sent us brand new photos of the signage at the airport there. The sign reads, "Welcome to President Donald J. Trump International Airport." As we get a chance to hopefully see it, if it pops up. If it doesn't, we'll keep it on. Either way, why don't we do this? Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here on Right Side.
It's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interviewed the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. You know, Eric Trump flew to the newly minted President Donald J. Trump International Airport in West Palm Beach, Florida recently. Let's go to clip 5. Then after that, we'll show you that new signage.
Attention all aircraft, effective immediately. Palm Beach International Airport is officially President Donald J. Trump International Airport. President Donald J. Trump International Airport. ATIS Information Hotel, now current. Trump altimeter 3009.
There we go. It's official.
47 Alpha Foxtrot. Understand the President.
All right, that's pretty cool stuff. Did you see all those buttons? I don't know, man. I back in the day, I thought it'd be cool to be a pilot. There was, 800 buttons it looked like all over the place, and you got that little window. Anyway, all right, so cool stuff there. And then let's just take a look at some of that signage there in Florida as well. You can see it saying, "Welcome to President Donald J. Trump International Airport." Good stuff there in Florida. That just sent to us by the public information officer with the Palm Beach County Department of Airports, sending that to us here on Right Side. All right, we have a few more interviews to get to. Let's do this, though. Vice President Vance was in Wisconsin yesterday, and he spoke about a number of topics, including the Save America Act. Let's go to clip number 3 as we get ready to go to our next live interview here on Right Side.
There's, of course, this big debate about how much election fraud happens in the United States of America. You guys know my views. We're not going to settle this here. First of all, any election fraud is too much election fraud in the world's greatest and oldest constitutional republic. And number 2, If Democrats want us to stop talking about election fraud, I make them a simple deal. Pass the Save America Act and get voter ID, and we'll stop talking about election fraud. We are the only advanced democracy anywhere in the entire world that doesn't require you to show a voter ID to vote. It's simple. Just give us election integrity laws, give us voter ID, and then we will have the confidence to say to the American people there's no cheating. But when they say, number one, we don't want voter ID, and number two, there's not that much cheating in our elections, it's natural for all of us to say, not much cheating is still way too much cheating, so stop it and give the American people voter ID. Thank you.
I would love to play that soundbite from the vice president. You know what? We should just play it 24/7 until the Save America Act passes. That's exactly what we, the people, have been saying for so long. We know President Trump talks about it a lot on Truth Social, but man, pass the stinking thing. Let's go. Anyway, let's go to some of our sponsors. We have a live interview coming up in just a second. We'll go to All Family Pharmacy. As you see there, more Americans are looking for healthcare that's simple, convenient, and puts patients first. And that's one reason we're proud to partner with All Family Pharmacy. Most pharmacies fill prescriptions, but All Family Pharmacy is focused on making the entire experience easier. Instead of long waits, endless phone calls, and crowded waiting rooms, you can complete a secure online medical questionnaire, have a licensed physician review your information, and if appropriate, provide a prescription. Then your medication is shipped directly to your door, and they offer more than 400 medications, from everyday prescriptions, things like, outside of that, ivermectin, antibiotics, wellness therapies like NAD+, Simorelin, and methylene blue. And when you have questions, you can actually talk to a real member of their team, including a licensed pharmacist. We all appreciate services that respect our time, give us more choices, and make life a little easier. That's exactly what All Family Pharmacy is doing. So just visit them at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You get that 10% off at checkout, but also if you have any questions, just give them a call, 561-717-6794. Let's go to Birch Gold Group one more time here, as we know that you can buy some gold, put some silver in your pocket, and a lot of times we understand that things are expensive out there, so how in the world would we be able to afford gold right now? One thing you can control, though, is really something that doesn't cost you anything out of pocket, is diversifying your retirement savings, because Birch Gold Group will help you convert an old 401k from a previous employer or an IRA into a physical IRA in gold. Something, of course, that's a hedge against inflation. And check this out. Right now, Birch Gold is going to give you that special America 250 silver round for every $10,000 you purchase by July 10th. So we have about 24 hours. You know what I'm saying? Tomorrow's the 10th, of course. And think about this. 10 years ago, an ounce of gold was about $1,200. Today, it's around $4,500. What will that cost be 10 years from now? Text Trump to 989898 to take advantage of free America 250 silver with qualifying purchase before July 10th. Again, text Trump to that number, 989898 today. Before we go to our next interview, I just wanted to quickly, actually after the interview, maybe we'll do this. I just wanted to connect with some of the people that are on the live chat here on Right Side. We'll talk about a couple items in just a minute, but let's go to that interview in the meantime. Joining us now is the National Religious Broadcasters Director of Comms and Conservator Managing Editor Bethany Miller joins us now. Thanks so much for joining us once again, Bethany.
Thank you for having me. So great to be here.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about Freedom 250, USA 250, Independence Day 250, all the 250 things. Where were you on July 4th? Were you in D.C.? Were you just enjoying, the festivities with friends and family? And what was it like just to kind of think about the fact that we've been around for 250 years and we need another 250?
What a milestone, isn't it? 250, and how incredible that we are the leader of the free world at such a young age. And so it was an exciting weekend. I was actually here in Nashville, and I got the honor of being at the U.S. Army Fort Campbell base in Kentucky. And so nothing quite like celebrating our 250th surrounded by those who wear the uniform proudly and salute the flag. There's nobody quite like that type of patriotism than amongst the military. But our 250 is an exciting time, and I think everybody is aware of the energy. It's unreal, and I hope it continues on for our next 250.
The thing that's wild, I like what you just said there. You said being a country that's so young and we are the leader of the free world. Can you believe that? we have President Trump, the most famous person on earth. But anytime there's a president, they're the leader of the free world, and we are that light on a hill, right? Can you believe that? Within 250 years, all these other countries have been around for thousands of years across in Europe and Asia and all that.
It is true American exceptionalism, and I think it's quite interesting that for so long, so many of this generation has been told to hate on America and hate on that, but we have to step back and realize we are the free world. Go visit the Middle East. Go visit. I was just in Belgium, actually, which was quite interesting that the U.S. men's team had to lose to Belgium, but I was just there. Go visit Europe and see how grateful you should be to be a part of a country that is the leader of the free world, that is the leader of the American dream, and is such a young experiment. It is truly American exceptionalism, and it's quite an honor to be a part of it.
Before we get into any of the op-eds or stories that you may be working on or getting ready to work on, I want to ask you a quick question about Belgium. This is way off topic. In Europe, we were talking the other day about air conditioning. So in Belgium, in Brussels, or wherever you were, was there air conditioning in the Airbnb, the hotel, the apartments, the houses, or are they kind of like, we don't do that here?
It was definitely a mixed batch. I would say me and the team were a little surprised when we got to our hotel and they told us there was air conditioning, but it definitely did not get above 78. So it was quite hot. We were going to restaurants and eating where there were places there was no air conditioning. And so let me just say, when I returned back to America, I've never been more patriotic, and we're thankful for air conditioning.
Exactly, 100%. Now, one more question. Are the Belgian waffles better there or in the United States?
They are better there. I can say that confidently. So they have that on us.
That's the only thing that they could have on us. Okay, that's fine. All right, let's shift back to some of the op-eds or stories that you may be working on coming up. I know you're the managing editor for the Conservatoire and also the National Religious Broadcasters Director of Comms. So just, share with us what's going on.
You know, we're riding this wave of 250, and I'm hopeful that we don't stay keeping 250 with July 4th and that it continues on. And that's something that we're working on at both at NRB and at the Conservatoire, is keeping up patriotism and reminding the American public that patriotism does not stay in Washington, and that does rely on, it can be the young man in uniform raising his right hand. It can be the farmer that gets up during the broad daylight in Iowa or Nebraska. It is, patriotism starts in the hearts of young Americans and Americans across the nation. And that's something that I've been working on both at Conservatoire and at NRB, is reminding the Americans and reminding the Republic that 250 is a huge milestone, and we have to remember how we were founded, and we have to remember that 250 is not just something we celebrate and move on. It's something that we forge and that we think about. So for our next 250, what type of nation will we have? And so that's kind of what we've been working on, thinking through, are we still one nation under God? Do we know what that God is and what that looks like?
Exactly. So where did you get your start in politics? Because we were very well versed, and you're speaking all the points that we all agree with. I mean, where'd you get your start? And then why did you step into the role you're in now?
I'm definitely a product of the American dream. That is for sure. I really, from a young age, believed Charlie Kirk's college is a scam, and I never finished college. I actually just learned on the job. I interned and worked my way up and just learned things. The beautiful thing about communications and media is media has never been more accessible. New media is leading the charge. People are finding out about Iran strikes from Twitter or from a notification on your phone. And so it's such a unique time to be a young professional. And it's such a unique time to be a part of politics because it's never been more accessible. I'm grateful for this administration because truly it is run by lots and lots of people my age in their mid-20s, just taking the charge. And all of a sudden I'm on the phone with friends who are running edits for the White House or for DHS. And that's just an exciting time to be a young person. An exciting time to realize it's not really about your resume. It's about your work ethic, and it's about what you're capable of doing, and it's about your heart. And so that's kind of how I started. I saw something that I wanted to be a part of. I ran after it. I felt like the Lord had given me a message, and I wanted to take it into every format and in every mission field, and media really is a mission field that we need to forge. So I've been really grateful, but I learned completely on the job. So I'm a huge product of the American dream.
That's awesome to hear that. I mean, we know in about 2 months, on September 10th of 2026, it'll be 1 year since the tragedy of losing the late, great Charlie Kirk. What was it like back on September 10th, 2025 when you heard that news?
I was actually watching the live stream. I was watching him about to give his remarks, listening to one of the students. I was asking him a question. I was waiting for his response. It was actually a really great question. And I saw the bullet. I saw it go through his neck. And it was definitely, when we saw the footage just recently at the trial of the judge reacting, that's exactly how I reacted. It was, even just thinking about it, it's making my heart race. It was such a traumatic moment just as a human. But then on top of it, it was just that immediate, Lord, this can't be. Like, no, this can't, I don't understand. And it was, I have like no words, and I still can't believe it. I still can't believe it's, going to be almost a year since we lost Charlie. And I'm hopeful that, we bring justice, and I'm hopeful that a movement will continue to come out of the We Are Charlie Kirk movement. There has been some frustrations. There has been lots of misinformation. There has been a lot of weaponizing media's accessibility, which has been unfortunate. But I'm really hoping, coming out of Charlie's legacy, coming out of this 250th, coming out of the Trump administration's charge to amp up young people, that we remember who we are, and we remember Charlie's spirit and Charlie's heart, especially as we go into the midterms, and really stop this infighting. And then we lock arms and we remember what we're fighting against. I mean, take a look at what's happening in New York, take a look at what Mondami's doing, and if we continue to infight and create this division, we will not fight against the party, we're just fighting against each other. So that's something that I'm really been praying for, and I really hope that truth comes to light and justice is brought through this trial that's happening right now.
Amen. Bethany Miller, Conservator, Managing Editor, thank you so much for sharing the information with us, your insight, and also what you're doing out there for the country.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely. Awesome stuff. Wow. All right. Well, hey, that's the thing. We're interviewing people all across the country today. If you're just joining us, we started our broadcast at 2 o'clock Eastern time. And of course, we've been hearing from some great patriots out there. Let's go to a couple of our sponsors as we go to programming here on our studio TV here. We know that Kalshi is one of our great sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and there's a lot of trending political topics out there. It's always great to see that. Also, specifically, you can use the QR code, you can download the Kalshi app, you can go to kalshi.com/RSBN. 3 different ways to get the Kalshi, of course. And, one of the main topics back maybe a few weeks back was, of course, the Spencer Pratt, election there when it comes to the mayoral election in Los Angeles. A lot of people chiming in about that. So really, the thing that I like about Kalshi, too, is whatever's in the 24/7 news cycle or even day of stuff, they're talking about it on Kalshi. So it's all kinds of people on there, more than 1 million right there on Kalshi. And you can add yourself if you'd like to. Use that QR code if you'd like, kalshi.com/RSBN. Let's go to one more sponsor. You see Cove Pier right there as it's approaching the bottom of the hour here on Right Side. We know that we just celebrated, of course, our 250th anniversary, but here's the crazy part. 250 years later, we're still here drinking whatever the government decided to put in our water. Fluoride for our teeth, chlorine to keep things clean. Well, that's really not a decision someone else should be making for your family, which is why you should be using Cove Pier. I mean, more than 209 million Americans are on fluoridated water right now. And here's what the science actually shows. A recent study confirmed that fluoride exposure is linked to lower IQ scores in children. And that's not a fringe study. That's from JAMA Pediatrics, one of the most respected medical journals in the world. And then you add the chlorine on top of that. And that isn't even the worst part. It's what happens when it reacts with natural particles in the water from plants and soil. It really creates chemical byproducts called THMs, which the government itself calls probable human carcinogens. Really linked to disruption of your gut and can cause cancer. There are some states moving on this. Utah and Florida, they banned fluoride, but that process takes years. So your kids, your family, they're drinking this water today, unfortunately, and you need something that works now, and that's exactly what Cove Pier is. They're certified to remove up to 99.9% of all these contaminants, things like fluoride, THMs, pharmaceuticals, PFAs, anything that isn't water gets filtered out. And it looks great on screen there, as you see. This is not some complex home system that you have to install and all that. It's sits right in your counter, and you just plug it right in. It makes your water taste great. And the best part is it gives you whatever temperature you want, hot, cold, or warm water, instantly with a tap of a button. So don't wait for the government to catch up. Take back control of your water. And in honor of America's 250th, Cove Pier is giving you guys $250 off if you use our link, covepier.com/RSBN. Again, covepier.com/RSBN. All right, so we are at the bottom of the hour now. So this is what we can do from now into our next live interview, which is at 3:45. Let's go to President Trump from just within the 24/7 news cycle. He met, of course, with the Ukrainian leader, Vladimir Zelensky. We played a number of those clips yesterday, so we're not going to play that one. One thing we didn't get to play is when the president met with the Syrian leader. Let's go to that bilateral meeting from yesterday.
thank you very much. I'm with the highly respected president of Syria, and we are working together. We were, right from the beginning, we were responsible, along with actually President Erdogan also felt very strongly. And he's done a really fantastic job as president. He's unified the country in a very short period of time. I'd say like a year and a half, about a year and a half. And right from the beginning, it was a real mess. It was a very disjointed place, and he's brought it together. He's a strong person. He's a great leader. He's respected by everybody, including me. And we're proud to have him together. We're just here to talk a little bit. We released sanctions from the country, which really, I think, was a big boost. The sanctions was a very important thing. And we're proud of the job he's doing. Syria's become a very stable, I mean, it's amazing. In a short period of time, it's really been stabilized. And we're proud of that. And to be part of the Middle East. Syria had one of the great cultures, the professors and lawyers and doctors. It had one of the great cultures of any country, not just Middle East. And then it went through this terrible period of time. But it's a country that a lot of people are very proud of, and they're proud of the job he's done. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Would you like to say something?
في الحقيقة نحن حققنا إنجاز كبير في تحرير سوريا وإسقاط النظام السابق.
We have made a great achievement in the toppling of the former regime.
وكما ذكر فخامة الرئيس خلال سنة ونصف حققنا إنجاز كبير في توحيد البلاد ووضع على السكة الصحيحة من التنمية والاقتصاد.
And as President Trump said, in a year and a half, we made an achievement in bringing the country together, unifying the country, and put it back on track.
هذا بفضل الشعب القوي الشعب السوري اللي تكلم عنه فخامة الرئيس ترامب.
Of course, this is due to our strong people, the strong Syrian people that President Trump talked about.
ثم القرار التاريخي اللي قام فيه الرئيس ترامب برفع العقوبات عن سوريا.
Then the historic decision that President Trump has taken by lifting the sanctions of Syria.
وأيضا مساعدة كل الأصدقاء المحبين في المنطقة من تركيا من دول الخليج من كل المنطقة.
As well as the help of friendly countries and the loving countries in the region, Turkey and other countries in our neighborhood.
الشعب السوري يشكر جميعا رئيس ترامب.
The entire Syrian people thanks President Trump.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Proud of you. You have any questions?
Mr. President, are you going to remove Syria from the state-sponsored terrorism list?
I think I will, yeah. I think I will. Why wouldn't I? He's done a great job. Maybe he would have brought that up a little wrong, but you brought, that's a good question, yeah. Any problems with that? I think we should. Yeah, I will.
Do you still want Syria to help with Hezbollah in Lebanon?
They could help, we'll find out. I think we're making a lot of progress. But they could help. He would do a very good job.
Prime Minister Netanyahu has been critical of aspects of your relationship in the last couple of days with President Erdogan of Turkey. He said that Erdogan has imperial ambitions on neighboring countries, presumably including Syria.
Well, he hasn't been involved with Syria. If you think, he hasn't been involved with Israel at all. And he's left it alone. I wouldn't say he's a friend, because he's not a friend of, as you know, of Netanyahu, of Bibi. They don't get along, I think. But, for me, he's been great. Look, Turkey's been fantastic and a fantastic ally. They're also a NATO country. And Israel, we've done, no president's done as much for Israel as I have. Nobody even close. If you look at, just look at all the things with Jerusalem, all the different things that we've done. The Golan Heights, I did things, nobody has ever done anything for Israel like me. And we've made tremendous progress. And we've made a lot of progress with Iran too. Wiped out their military, but it should have been done 47 years ago.
And if I could, do you think that Prime Minister Netanyahu should be re-elected as
I can tell you this, he's been a great wartime president. We worked at Prime Minister. So we worked with each other very closely, and we went through a very big thing. We did a big thing together, and in my opinion, he's been a great wartime Prime Minister. I don't know anything about his politics. I'm not sure. I would think he should be popular because he did a very good job. We had and have a very good relationship. But he was a great wartime Prime Minister.
President Trump said.
If you had other prime ministers, you know what? It wouldn't be in Israel right now. You know that? It wouldn't be. It would have been blown to pieces by Iran. If you had a weak prime minister, you wouldn't have. And if you had a different president, I guarantee there wouldn't be an Israel. Israel wouldn't exist today if you didn't have me as president.
President Trump said.
Daniel?
Data from the Energy Information Administration revealed that U.S. crude oil production set a new record in the month of April under your leadership.
That's right.
Why is it important to keep hitting numbers like this at this moment in time? Why is it important that you were able to get this done and keep it on this trajectory?
Well, when we decided to do this, it's called the denuclearization of Iran. We have to do it. We have to have. They're never going to have a nuclear weapon, and they admit they're never going to have it. But they behave badly. Always behave badly. There's something wrong with them. But when we did this, we thought oil would go much higher, and it didn't go very high. And now it's coming way down, and you're going to see oil drop very low. Now maybe we'll do some other things that could lift it a little bit, but I don't think it's going to lift it a lot at all. I think oil is coming down. There's tremendous amounts of oil. Scott, what would you say about that?
Yes, so record production under President Trump in his first term. Now in his second term, the U.S. is an energy superpower. It's why we weathered the conflict better than anyone else. And there, just this weekend, Bloomberg wrote that there is an oil glut out there. And we think that safe, secure American oil maybe even should trade at a premium to the rest of the world.
So we have, if you add it up, you take Saudi Arabia and take Russia, two big oil producers, we do more than twice as much. We do more than, so think of it, Saudi Arabia, Russia put together, we do more oil, and that's not including Venezuela. It's pretty amazing. And this all happened during my term. We started it at the first term. Biden blew it because he had no idea what he was doing. But we are producing more oil right now than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined by almost double. Okay, any other questions? Yes. Yes, ma'am.
You've said that dealing with the Iranians is a waste of time. How do you plan to get the nuclear material and the nuclear assurances that you want?
Well, we've already got the nuclear material because it's so far underground, nobody's going to be able to get it except us because we have the equipment that can get it. But I call it the nuclear dust. The nuclear material is so far down underneath the mountain, and now that's been determined, that it would take massive machinery that we have that no other country has. They can't get it.
So you have no plans to go in, boots on the ground?
Why would I go in now? I'd go in when they're completely either eliminated or whatever happens, or an agreement's made.
Mr. President,
yes.
If you cut off trade with Spain, does that mean that you're going to have to renegotiate a trade agreement with the EU?
With who?
With the EU. With the EU. Any tax trade agreements you already have?
We're going to see what happens with the EU. You know, they've treated us very badly for years, and they took advantage of us. Look, we're very close to those countries, right? And to everybody in the EU. The problem is they took advantage of the United States for years, just like him. They took advantage of Syria. He's bringing it back. And I'm bringing the United States back. We have the greatest economy we've ever had. We have the biggest investment. 19.2 trillion is being invested right now in the United States. 3 trillion was the number, the record. Under Biden and under the past administration, they had less than $1 trillion for 4 years. We have 19.2 trillion in 12 months. Think of that. We have the largest amount of money being invested in a country in history. Pretty amazing. 19.2 trillion with a T. So, and they're building factories all over the country. I think yesterday Toyota announced they're leaving Mexico. And they're coming, I'm not that Mexico's thrilled about it, but they're leaving Mexico and they're coming to the United States to build what will be, I believe, the largest automobile plant either in the world or at least in this country.
Mr. President,
Daniel?
quick domestic question. You announced on Truth Social a couple days ago that Walmart is cutting their price for 15%. How big of a deal is that for American customers this summer?
So Walmart has agreed to cut their prices very substantially because things are going down. We're getting it down. We inherited very high prices. We inherited the highest prices in the history of our country. or 48 years to be exact, but I don't believe that. I think it's in history. So under Biden, they had tremendous inflation. Under the Democrats, we had tremendous inflation, record-setting inflation. And now inflation is way down. Everything is great. We have the prices are coming down, but we inherited, they talk about they use different words to describe it. They had very high prices. The prices are coming down. And when the oil comes, the oil is coming way down. The oil dropped by 50% in the last month. And when that comes down, it brings everything else down. No, it's affordability. And they came up with the word affordability. Like, I take over, I'm there for one day, and they say, affordability, affordability. I said, I've been here remember with the eggs, the first day or 2 days later, I have my first news, and they talked about eggs. They said the eggs have gone up 5 times. I've been in office for one day. And I said, well, we'll have to do something. In fact, they told me not to order eggs for the Easter egg hunt at the White House. I should use plastic. I said, we're not doing that. And by the time we came, it was a couple of months later, that happened, and we ordered thousands of eggs. And right now, eggs are way down. The prices are way down, and they're coming down further. So they made up a phony word that they used. They said affordability. They're the ones that caused the affordability prices. I didn't. But I brought it down. And the oil is coming down very big.
Brent crude is up slightly today on the announcement.
A little bit, yeah, because we hit them. Anytime we hit them, it goes up a little bit, $2.
Is that what you mean? Is that what you meant when you said that we might see oil prices lift a little in response
A little
to?
bit, yeah, $2, very little. It's down from, let's say, $135 down to $69. It's dropping, and everything else drops. As oil goes, so goes everything else. But anytime if we hit Iran, oil goes up a little bit. It's all right. And you know what we're doing? We're de-nuking it. All right? We're de-nuking Iran. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon. All right, one more question.
Sir, do you think Israel should withdraw troops from southern Lebanon?
Well, I talked to Bibi about that. Yeah, I think they're going to. I think they want to. I don't think it's a question of me. I think it's a question they want to. And they're getting along with Lebanon. They're signing deals with Lebanon. First time ever. Marco, talk about that.
Yeah, we have an agreement that's the goal at the end. Obviously, Israel's concerned about their security. But the president did a great job bringing those two countries together for the first time.
It's a big thing. First time in many years, right? So we have a deal with Israel and Lebanon. And, they'll leave. And I think it's going to work out very well. But we're here for this because Syria has turned around as fast as I've ever seen. Well, actually, I turned the United States around very fast. I inherited from a man who was not smart, not a smart person. We inherited from the men where they were running this country so badly with the open borders. Think of it, 25 million people allowed into our country. And that includes 11,888 murderers, most of whom murdered more than one person, okay? And we got most of them out, or we have them in jail. And we've done a great job. Washington, D.C. now is considered one of the safest cities in the country. If he came to Washington, D.C. a year and a half ago, he'd fear for his life, even though he never feared for his life before, because it was very dangerous. But somehow his territory might have even been a little more dangerous. I joke because, he comes from a rough environment. Would you say that's right, Tom Barrack? It's sort of funny to think. I don't think he'd be too concerned with Washington a year and a half. But we had a very, very unsafe Washington, D.C., and now it's one of the safest cities in the country. We put the military in. Washington went from being an unsafe to one of the safest cities, and crime is down 94%. We don't play games. We removed over 5,000 career criminals, many of whom came in through the open borders of Joe Biden. We did the same thing with Memphis, Tennessee. We did the same thing with in Louisiana. You have to speak to the governor, because New Orleans, the crime rate is down 78% in a little while, and they had the best Mardi Gras they've ever had. So we're doing a good job, and he's done a great job too. And I thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, so obviously President Trump meeting with the Syrian leader just yesterday. Of course, we didn't get a chance to air that here on the network, so that's what we did right there as it's 3:44, 3:45 Eastern time. Coming up, we have a live interview and a few other clips to show you as we are monitoring some of the latest news that's happening out there. Nothing really when it comes to the breaking news aspect of urgent matters at this point. If there is something like that, of course, you can count on us for that, whether it's on live TV right here or maybe out there on social media as well. Let's go to a couple of our sponsors in the meantime as we slowly get ready to wrap this broadcast here. Let's go to the first one, Tax Network USA. We know there's a lot of financial questions out there, especially for back taxes. Maybe do you have back taxes that maybe you haven't filed, or maybe it's from 2018 or whatever year. No matter how your tax issue started, the outcome is the same. Your balance is just not going down. Penalties are growing, interest compounds, and a number of people still dealing with that question of, what do I do next? Well, the IRS, they're not waiting. The IRS is enforcing collections through wage garnishments, bank levies, property seizures. They can even file for you without your consent. And this is really where Tax Network USA comes in. With more than 15 years in business, there hasn't been a case that they haven't seen or resolved when it comes to tax cases. They specialize in tax controversies and help taxpayers nationwide get back on track by resolving back taxes and unfiled returns once and for all. And whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, their team has resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. So they can do the same for you, but you just have to call them. I mean, they're offering this free investigation call with the IRS. And after that investigation, they put a clear case plan in place, all to resolve your tax problem and get you back on track. So this is really about using your legal rights to take control before the government sets the terms for you. So don't wait for another IRS letter or a frozen bank account. Just give them a call, 877-479-6503, or go to tnusa.com/RSBN. Let's go to one more sponsor here on Right Side, freeusadoggift.com. I want to take a minute to speak to the parents watching today. It's officially, of course, the dog days of summer, and if your house is anything like ours used to be, that means the dog sprawls out on the coolest tile floor he can find, refusing to move for anyone. And let me just stop there quickly. The dog days of summer, no joke. Southeast, obviously, that's the way it is here. Out in Arizona, same thing. I saw the temperatures in the triple digits, as it usually is. But even in Northeast this summer so far, it's been quite hot. Anyway, it seems our dogs, tend to run the house, and honestly, we wouldn't have it any other way. So here's a fun fact for you. Our founding fathers were the exact same way. It turns out long before they were founding a nation, they were the original dog people, tails wagging in the halls of Mount Vernon and Monticello, muddy paw prints on important documents. Our founders love their dogs every bit as much as we love ours today. And with America's 250th birthday, what better way to get kids excited about history than through the goofy, loyal, tail-wagging companions who are there for it all. Our friends at the Kids Guide have put together a great guide called The Kids Guide to the Founders' Furry Friends, giving kids a fun and heartwarming look at the dogs who stood and sat and probably begged for scraps beside our nation's founders. It's the perfect keepsake souvenir for kids, and they're giving it away for free at freeusadoggift.com. Plus, when you request your copy, they're also giving you a second free guide called The Kids Guide to the Founder's Message for Today, a must-read for every child. So during these dog days of summer, head on over to freeusadoggift.com right now to get these free guides for your family and help celebrate America's 250th birthday the right way. All right, let's shift gears. Let's end the broadcast. Well, that's a beautiful video right there, live video of the Thomas Jefferson Memorial in Washington, D.C. Let's go to an RSBN alum, shall we? Joining us now is Daily Caller reporter Ashley Brassfield. Ashley, thanks so much for joining us here on Right Side.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to join.
Yeah, definitely. So I understand you had a report recently about these flock cameras. Can you tell us, those people that have heard about flock cameras, can you share what they are and what's your report about?
Yeah, well, there's a few actually reports going around the internet right now on these flock cameras. But with the Daily Caller, we saw these and kind of got interested immediately. So we've kind of been trying to do as much coverage on these as possible. But basically, the issue with these cameras is that they are from a third-party company called Flock, and they contract with police departments all over the United States. And they basically are, solar powered, that are positioned on the side of the road. If you look around, maybe when you're driving, you might see one in your community. And basically, what they do is they say they're license plate readers or advanced license plate readers, and police officers use them to basically they're marketed to solve crime essentially. So anything going on in your community, they use these. But the problem with this is that actually the data collection that comes with these, of course, license plates themselves are state-owned property, so they are technically allowed to take pictures of your license plate. But it's the data that goes along with the license plate that these companies basically could collect. But I think one of the important things to note here is the company alleges that they do not use facial recognition data. So yes, it is a camera. They say they only use AI to look at license plates and, vehicle make model and ideas such as that. But I think there's questions that come around to this because of, people's Fourth Amendment rights in a lot of ways with this. So there's been a spree recently of these cameras being taken down, and there's actually a program or a nonprofit called DFlock, which actually tracks the locations of where these cameras have been placed all over the United States. And I believe that currently they have about 111,000 cameras actually documented on this map on this website. But it's very interesting because Flock has come out stating that this organization called DFlock is a terrorist organization. So there's been a lot of pushback from them. And so one of the actual reports we've actually done as well is this idea that these people can misuse data from Flock cameras, possibly. And this was actually first reported down in Georgia recently, where 5 police officers have actually are being investigated for misusing Flock data up as to 11 times. And this is happening in places like Colorado, where a woman was accused of stealing a package from a front door because her local police chief used the camera footage to try and track her down. She was able to prove it wrong by actually using other surveillance footage from her friend's Ring doorbell and her own car camera. But I think that's become the question of mass surveillance in communities and something that a lot of Americans have been concerned about and really should question, especially from third-party companies such as Flock.
I'm glad you brought up the Colorado case because I saw that video. Like anybody, if you're on YouTube or you're on X and you're watching videos and you use your thumb, you're flipping up the next video, right? And that's where I saw the whole Colorado case being that lady falsely accused of something. Yes. And the goal of that video was to say, hey, Americans, get your own car cameras. And I'm thinking about getting one just in general anyway. I mean, it's coming to that point, isn't it?
Right. Basically they're saying you're, guilty until proven innocent, not the other way around at this point is what these cameras are facing. And I think that's what the woman in the Colorado video said herself. But there's lawsuits in California. But I think the mass idea here is mass surveillance. I mean, we were just talking about, vehicle kill switches within FISA bills and things like that. So when you hear of instances where these things are being used and third parties are able to collect data, we talk about how worried we are about China collecting our own data. But you have to be worried about that, I think, from the government in general. And that's going to be a problem going forward. So Americans have the right to ask questions.
Exactly. And they have the right to fly high the American flag, the Freedom 250 flag, and also the Gadsden flag. Don't tread on us. I mean, that's what people are saying out there. This is America. You don't roll like that here. You keep it over somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Let's shift gears to something else that I think you guys have been reporting on over there at the Daily Caller. There's a lot of questions that people are asking right now, at least on X. Where in the world is Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell? What is the reporting that you guys have been doing? Did you request a video interview or something?
We did. And I think that's the question, from Americans and from a lot of the media right now in Washington, D.C. There was an actual member of Congress, Brett Guthrie, yesterday in an interview and back in Kentucky saying, he's hope he gets back to Washington, D.C. So we even asked him, well, what do you mean by that? Because there is reports alleging he's at, George Washington University Hospital here in D.C. So that, brought some skepticism up there. And they said that he meant the Senate floor when he said that, to clarify. They were pretty immediate about, fixing that. But at the same time, when you say statements like that and we know nothing, we've received no health updates from the senator, and for about a week or more, members of the media were getting the exact same statement. We still do not know exactly what his condition is as to why he was hospitalized. There's a lot of missing questions. And so, I mean, it also comes back to the question of, can Senate business continue? Questions like the Save America Act, which has to go through the Rules Committee in the Senate in order to be passed, can that go forward? So I think Americans have the right to ask that question about a sitting U.S. senator, and also Republican voters who voted for people like this. So I think, we go back to the Joe Biden situation, I think is what I see a lot going on X right now. And so there's questions as to whether, were Republicans, could they have questioned that now that they're, not answering the questions regarding Mitch McConnell's condition?
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. That's one of those stories that are continuing on in that 24/7 news cycle. A couple more points before we let you go. Your exclusive reporting about ICE, also AKA NICE, arrested an Australian national charged with voting in multiple federal elections. So again, ICE arrested an Australian national charged with voting in multiple federal elections. Are you talking about in the United States of America, right?
Right. In the United States of America, actually in Louisiana, this case occurred. And we actually had another report last week from our White House reporter, Reagan Reese, talking about a Slovakian illegal immigrant voting in elections here in the United States as well. But this particular case was an Australian national that was here. She was not an illegal immigrant. She was here legally, but had voted in Louisiana over multiple federal elections. So, I mean, to say, we've been talking about the Save America Act. It feels like we're beating a, dead horse at this point a little bit, but a lot of the Democrat argument is that, this never happens. And I see that a lot too from somebody that sponsors the Save America Act, Senator Mike Lee. Well, two of these instances you're seeing right now of, either an illegal immigrant or a foreign national voting in United States federal elections. And so, I mean, I don't know what else you want to prove that you might need this going forward. And of course, the argument from people like Mitch McConnell is, they don't want to nationalize elections. And so I think there needs to be a debate had. I think this is proof alone that it may need to go forward. But I mean, if the American people and senators and members of Congress need any more proof, I don't know what to give them.
Exactly. And that's what a true journalist gets, is evidence and receipts. So congrats on that story. I saw the Department of Homeland Security also kind of repost your story there. And finally, more of a kind of a personal note. How did you escape becoming, now don't take this the wrong way, woke? How did you escape becoming woke? Because what was it that kept you on the right side of history? There are plenty of people, I believe you're in your 20s, right? That are in their 20s that were brainwashed, and they'd be doing the opposite of what you're doing right now, especially if they worked in the fake news. So what was it about you that has you doing what you're doing? I mean, absolutely great reporting. Straight up, Ashley, I'm not kidding. I mean, this is awesome stuff that you're doing, and awesome that you started here at Right Side. But what was it before that kind of said, you know what, this is kind of what I'm going to do?
Yeah, I have to attribute to my parents and the way I was raised. But also, I've always been a curious person, and I, don't believe everything you hear. And I think that rings true for any politician, whichever side of the aisle. So I think that obviously, helps be able to ask questions of what you truly believe. I think a lot of, 20-year-olds these days, it has the assumption that, you go to a, more liberal university and kind of this idea of being brainwashed. Well, I think I just always had the idea that I was curious and going to question whatever narrative I was told, and in general, whichever side of the aisle it's coming from and what I believed. So I think that's what's kind of the failing of the university system within America currently, is that narrative is not pushed. It's, we're going to tell you what to think, and rather than you questioning things and being able to ponder questions and develop your own thought process on it. So, but I think it really does go back to my parents. So I think that, you have to have that ability, and it may be something you're born with or something you learn. But I was lucky to be able to have given that opportunity and be raised by good parents.
That's awesome. That's why the family unit is so important. That's why we say God, family, country. The Daily Caller reporter, Ashley Brassfield, thanks again for spending the time with us, and great reporting out there.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Definitely. You too. All right, good stuff. All right, we're approaching the top of the hour. We have a couple more sponsors, and we have one more video to play you, and then we're going to wrap up our coverage today. And then, of course, tomorrow we'll see what happens. What will be on the White House schedule? Will there be a Carolyn Levitt White House press briefing? We're waiting for that. We're looking forward to seeing her back at the at that press briefing room. Anyway, maybe it's tomorrow, maybe next week, who knows, but we're here for it. Let's go to a couple sponsors. All Family Pharmacy, of course, is one of our great sponsors here on Right Side. More Americans are looking for health care that's simple, convenient, and puts patients first, and that's one reason we're proud to partner with All Family Pharmacy, because most pharmacies, of course, they just fill prescriptions, but All Family Pharmacy does that plus. And that's the thing, it's the plus. What else do they do? They're focused on making the entire experience easier. Instead of long waits, endless phone calls, crowded waiting rooms, you can complete a secure online medical questionnaire, have a licensed physician review your information, and if appropriate, provide a prescription. Then your medication is shipped directly to your door, and they offer more than 400 medications, from everyday prescriptions, things like ivermectin and antibiotics, to wellness therapies like NAD+, Samoralin, and methylene blue. And when you have questions, you can actually talk to a real member of their team. It's not AI. I don't know about you, but I don't like when I call some sort of business and they act like it's a real person, but it's AI. Don't give me AI, give me a human, please. And that's what you'll get here with All Family Pharmacy. So, of course, we all appreciate services that respect our time, give us more choices, and make life a little easier. And that's what All Family Pharmacy is doing. So just visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use promo code RSBN10 to save 10% on your order. Again, call 561-717-6794. For those of you that have heard this broadcast before or heard about this sponsor a few times, all you have to do is give them a call and ask the questions, though, because sometimes some people, I think, take a stance of, I'm going to hold off on that, maybe sometime. But actually, if you give them a call, ask the questions that you really want to know about and to see if this is something that will fit for you. All right, so let's go from All Family to Birch Gold Group. Again, text Trump to 989898. That is the way to get the ball rolling with Birch Gold Group. You can buy some gold and put some silver in your pocket. And a lot of people are saying, well, maybe not right now because you might not have the extra funds. But one thing you can control right now that doesn't cost you anything out of pocket is diversifying your retirement savings. So Birch Gold Group will help you convert an old 401k from a previous employer or an IRA into a physical IRA in gold. It's really something that's a hedge against inflation. And check this out, right now Birch Gold is going to give you that special America 250 1-ounce silver round for every $10,000 you purchase by tomorrow, July 10th. And think about this, 10 years ago, an ounce of gold was about $1,200. Today it's around $4,500. And where will it be 10 years from now? Text Trump to 989898 to take advantage of free America 250 silver with qualifying purchase before July 10th. Again, text Trump to that number, 989898 today. All right, so we have one more video for you to wrap up our broadcast here in just a second. We also know that the White House posted a new video, so we're going to go to that, making its rounds out there, all about President Trump's working families tax cuts. Let's take a look.
We pride ourselves a lot on overtime around here, and we spend more time here than we do at home with our families. So being able to keep that money in our pocket and being able to utilize it a lot more is going to help out tremendously.
The tax cuts that in the Big Beautiful Bill are wonderful. We've been able to expand our business, and year to date we've added an extra 328 people. So we're super excited.
Those larger child tax credits are really beneficial. Just a massive blessing on a family.
I was happy to be able to give my employees a little bit more money at the end of the week.
It's really helped me be able to provide for my family better with more money coming in, so I'm very grateful for that.
When you start talking about Social Security, people sit up, pay attention, because guess what? They're either on it or they're going to be on it.
If we didn't have this tax deduction, it would be very tight.
One of the things I really like about the Big Beautiful Bill, being a senior, is that we get the $6,000 deduction per person or the $12,000 per couple.
Livestock indemnity program moving from 75% to 100%, compensating ranchers fairly for their losses for Mexican gray wolves. It's about time.
We certainly are noticing more money in the pockets of the working class.
You can reduce your tax burden by $10,000 for individuals, $20,000 for couples. So if you purchased an American-made car last year new, you just have to put your VIN number. So it's a great thing.
So the One Big Beautiful Bill had some things in it that you are personally benefiting from when it comes to taxes. Tell me about that.
That's true for millions of Americans.
We don't want to start a child care program ran by the federal government, so we think a tax credit and tax deductions is the better way to do it.
So those are a couple of huge things we got accomplished in this working family tax cuts bill.
The working families tax cuts give real relief to farmers so we can protect what we've built and pass it on to the next generation.
Thank you so much for passing this bill, for helping mothers like me be able to help our kids be more prepared for their future.
The tax cuts really do help everyday Americans like me and my little one here, who's 18 months.
For restaurant workers in Iowa alone, there's about $59 million that will be saved from federal income taxes in year one of no tax on tips.
I'm incredibly grateful not only for the inheritance tax being changed, but for all the other tax cuts and benefits coming from this bill.
And what better way to wrap our broadcast right now here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. Of course, a lot of great products on mypillow.com/RSBN. You will save a ton of money by just using the RSBN promo code. Of course, Mike and the crew, they always have some great sales there. And it's not just sales for sales' sake. These are some great quality products that I'm sure a number of you might have at the house there, or wherever you're watching right now. But yeah, maybe order some more. mypillow.com/RSBN. Always good to see the various sales on mypillow.com. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side Broadcasting Network, just go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. rsbnetwork.com/donate is the spot to do that. Also, if you'd like to send us, snail mail, some people are doing that, still sending checks, and they've been doing it for years. If you want to join that, all you have to do is send it to 1550 Opelika Road, that's Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama 36830. It's 4:05 Eastern, Thursday, July 9th. I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll see you again tomorrow.